Hello, and welcome to this video tutorial about the pop art movement. In this video, we will take a look at the history of art that made the pop art movement possible. My name is Elizabeth Washburn, and I am your host. I'm also an artist, and I run a nonprofit organization called Combat Arts San Diego. At Combat Arts, we provide arts programming to incarcerated teens and combat veterans. Making and viewing art is a phenomenal tool for reducing stress and anxiety, strengthening cognitive pathways, and connecting with others to self-express and decompress. In this video, I will contextualize the pop art movement through a quick overview of the history of art from the Renaissance up to the pop art movement. Humans have always made art. It's inherent. In fact, archaeologists have now found cave paintings that they have dated back to 65,000 years ago, which means not only Homo sapiens were painting on cave walls, but also so were the Neanderthals. All right, I've got 6 minutes to share with you the Renaissance to pop art, so let's get started. The Renaissance began in the 15th century and is known for the increased awareness of nature, a revival of classical learning, and more individualistic view of man. Then we move to Baroque. Baroque is in the 17th century and early 18th century and is known for its grandeur, sensuous richness, drama, movement, and emotional exuberance. Next, we move to Romanticism. It happened in the late 18th century and into the mid-19th century. It focused on emotions, feelings, imagination, mystery, and fervor. Next, we have Realism. It was a mid-19th century movement that rejected imaginative idealization in favor of a close observation of outward appearances. After Realism, we have Impressionism. It began in the late 19th century and was considered avant-garde for the time because artists were more interested in depicting the changes of light by painting scenes and subjects on the spot. The post-impressionists came next in the late 19th century and into the 20th century. The post-impressionists rejected Impressionism's concern with the spontaneous and naturalistic rendering of light and color. Instead, they favored an emphasis on more symbolic content, formal order, and structure. Next, we're going to move to the early 20th century Cubism art movement. It was created by Pablo Picasso and George Braque. It employs geometric shapes in depictions of humans and other forms. Moving a little bit further into the 20th century, we have the Surrealist movement. Surrealism was a literary and visual art movement. The Surrealists were all about the unconscious mind, dream depictions, and juxtaposing and combining uncommon imagery together to form a picture. And the last modern art movement preceding pop art are the abstract expressionists. This movement occurred in the mid-20th century. The abstract expressionists were interested in reality being exposed in non-representational statement with line, color, and size, as well as the aggressive mingling of colors, shapes, and forms that create a painting of pure thought and emotion. All right, now for the main attraction. I have this video for you that gives you a really great overview of the pop art movement.
It was a time of optimism and post-war economic boom for many. Supermarket aisles were filled with consumer products. Advertising and glossy magazines told people what to buy and made them want to buy it. Movie stars filled the silver screen, giving rise to celebrity culture, and the youth fought for freedom. Out of this new popular culture, pop art was born. Its subjects were celebrities, comics, cans, condiments, and cuisine. Its style was flat, colourful, graphic, and commercial-like. Pop art was... Critics were sceptical. How could soup be art? But pop artists were referencing the world in which people actually lived. And as Andy Warhol put it, everything is art. In the UK, Richard Hamilton was amongst the first to reference pop culture using cutouts from American magazines. He was followed by Peter Blake and David Hockney. Together, they celebrated and questioned all things American. Over in the land of the free, however, pop art was a reaction to the introverted nature of abstract expressionism. By filling their canvases with flags, targets and tyres, Robert Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns paved the way. Then, Andy Warhol burst onto the scene with his screen prints, taking reign as the king of pop. Roy Lichtenstein turned comic books into high art, and Claes Oldenburg turned toilets into cushions. Down under, pop art started as a reaction to the conservative state of Australian art. A group called the Annandale Imitation Realists added odds and ends to their canvases in defiance. Later, the American and British pop culture explosion was embraced by Aussie artists like Martin Sharp and Brett Whiteley. By the end of the 60s, pop art's heyday was over.
All right, this concludes our time together. I hope I've inspired you to spend some time checking out not only the pop art movement, but everything that led up to it. Please also check out my Warhol-esque portrait painting of Grace Hopper. Wow, was she phenomenal. I'm so honored to be with you today. Please be well and stay safe.